Sunday fun days over. Tonight's top taunts. Dolphin swims into the record books. American Veiler's secret flashbang theory. And signed, sealed, delivered but not on a Sunday. Plus, coming up, we expose the council's secret plot to replace your pet with a councillor. Those are the headlines. Retire. Have eggs. Chill a tall boy.
Newsbang. Bracing for the impact of unvarnished truths. 2003.
The world of video gaming experienced a seismic shift today as a group of rogue scientists unleashed their monstrous creation. The dolphin, a terrifying hybrid of mammal and machine, capable of devouring GameCube games without the inconvenience of actually owning a GameCube.
Eyewitnesses report scenes of chaos as millions of nostalgic gamers suddenly found themselves able to relive their childhoods in high definition. I was just sitting there, minding my own business, when suddenly my PC started making dolphin noises and spat out a perfect rendition of Super Smash Bros. Melee, said a visibly shaken Todd Pinkerton.
Meanwhile, local gamer Timmy Joystick described the horror. "It ate my Mario, then it barfed him onto my dad's laptop, but he looked way prettier. I'm scared and aroused."
Nintendo executives were last seen fleeing their headquarters, screaming about the impending dolphin apocalypse. Meanwhile, marine biologists are baffled by the sudden increase in dolphins applying for computer science degrees.
As panic spreads, underground bunkers are being stocked with vintage Ataris and dusty Commodore 64s. The Pentagon has been placed on high alert, with military analysts warning that the next World War may be fought with weaponized Wiimotes.
1979.
It seems the Cold War was about more than just oversized nuclear arsenals and questionable fashion choices. On this day in 1979, a US Vela satellite detected a double flash near the Prince Edward Islands, a sure sign of a nuclear explosion, as unmistakable as a KGB agent's vodka breath.
The US government, ever the masters of discretion, initially concluded this was probably a top-secret nuclear test, because what better way to keep a secret than to set off a mushroom cloud visible from space?
Local fisherman Salty Pete reported seeing a big ol' mushroom cloud and feeling a tingly sensation in me wooden leg. When asked if he was concerned about potential radiation, Pete replied, "Nah, mate. I've been eating glowing fish for years. Makes it easier to find 'em in the dark."
1789.
The United States, in a move that has left historians baffled and postal workers gleeful, has declared war on the written word. The conflict began in 1789 with the establishment of the Postmaster General, a shadowy figure tasked with controlling the flow of information.
The first Postmaster General, Samuel Osgood, was reportedly seen cackling maniacally as he wielded his official stamp, a symbol of his newfound power over America's correspondence. "From now on," he allegedly declared, "all letters will bow before me."
This insidious campaign of epistolary oppression continues to this day, with the US Postal Service operating a vast network of letter prisons known as post offices, where innocent mail is subjected to unspeakable horrors like postage due and return to sender.
Conspiracy theorists warn that the Postmaster General, a shadowy figure now known only as DeJoy Killer, is capable of manipulating time itself to delay your Amazon packages.
Newsbang. The counterweight to gravity when news gets heavy.
And now, with a forecast as unpredictable as a game of Mornington Crescent, here's our weather guru, the inimitable Shakanaka Giles.
Autumn's chill is creeping in, so best wrap up warm, folks. Over in Cider Sipping Cove, the morning will start with a light drizzle, The kind that seeps into your socks like a pesky relative who's overstayed their welcome. But fear not, the sun will eventually poke through just in time for the annual Conquer Championships. Heading north to misty moors, the weather will be a bit of a mixed bag. Expect a brisk breeze, strong enough to send your brolly tumbling down the high street, much like England's World Cup hopes. But the afternoon should bring a spot of autumnal sunshine, perfect for a ramble through the heather. And over in pumpkin patch pastures, the weather will be spookily fitting for the Halloween festivities. A smattering of showers, as if the heavens are weeping for the poor souls who forgot their wellies. But by nightfall, the skies should clear, allowing the harvest moon to shine bright, ready for all the witches and warlocks to take to their brooms. In summary then, a bit damp, a bit blustery, and a smidge spooky. Chin up, chaps, and don't forget your knitwear, and that's all the weather.
$12.36.
12:36 now, and it's all gone tits up for those Livonian brothers of the sword. Seems they've had a right royal spanking from some pagan chaps with a penchant for pointy sticks and skull bashing. Apparently, crusading zeal isn't all it's cracked up to be when you're facing a horde of screaming barbarians with a taste for blood sausage. We go live now to our man on the scene, Brian Bastable, who's just materialised in 13th century Lithuania via our patented chronoporter. Brian, what's the state of play in this medieval mosh pit?
Martin, it's like a heavy metal concert organized by a pack of rabid badgers. The air is thick with the smell of blood, sweat, and something I can only describe as pagan funk. The Livonian brothers are scattered across the battlefield like a dropped box of broken swords. And those Samogitian and Semigallian lads are whooping and hollering like they've just won the lottery, which I suppose they have, considering the amount of loot they're hauling off. I've been dodging disembodied limbs and stray arrows for the last hour, Martin, and I can tell you, those pagan chaps have a right hook that would make a blacksmith weep. I just saw one bloke use a dead knight's helmet as a soup bowl. Resourceful, but not exactly hygienic. The brothers of the sword are looking a bit blunt right now, Martin, their crusading zeal dulled by a severe lack of heads and limbs. This defeat will send shockwaves through Christendom, and I suspect the Pope will be reaching for the holy antacids. Brian Bastable for Newsbang, reporting from some godforsaken place far removed from decency or light.
1975.
On this day in 1975, President Gerald Ford narrowly escaped an assassination attempt in San Francisco. Sarah Jane Moore, a woman with a cocktail of political grievances and mental instability, took aim at the leader of the free world. Her shot, however, went awry, thanks to the quick thinking of a bystander. The incident sent shockwaves through the nation, leaving the Secret Service scrambling to plug holes in their security net. For more on this hair-raising tale of presidential peril, we go to our crime correspondent, Ken Schitt.
Listen up, you slack-jawed degenerates. It's 1975, and some nutjob with a political axe to grind just tried to punch Uncle Sam's ticket. Sarah Jane Moore, a radicalized fruitcake with delusions of grandeur, thought she'd play Russian roulette with the leader of the free world. This psycho broad had more screws loose than a dollar store erector set. She waltzed up to President Gerald Ford like she was ordering a goddamn cheeseburger, whipped out a .38 and took a pot shot at the Prez. But Lady Luck must have been pissing herself laughing, because this muppet couldn't hit the broadside of a barn with a bazooka. Some hero named Oliver Sipple, give that man a medal and a lifetime supply of beer, grabbed her arm faster than you can say Star-Spangled Savior, sending that bullet into oblivion. The Secret Service boys pounced on her like starved wolves on a three-legged rabbit. Now you'd think one failed assassination attempt would be enough to make a president piss his pants, but Ford had balls of steel. This was the second time in 17 days some lunatic tried to punch his ticket to the great beyond. Wake up, America. This isn't just about one batshit crazy broad with a grudge. It's a wake-up call louder than your mother-in-law's snoring. We've got to protect our leaders better than a mama bear guards her cubs. Democracy ain't a spectator sport, people. So next time you see someone suspicious, don't just stand there like a deer in headlights. Be a goddamn patriot and say something. This is Ken Shit, reminding you that freedom isn't free, and neither is a good bulletproof vest.
1957.
And in Haiti, a new leader has emerged, promising reform and prosperity. François Duvalier, affectionately known as Papa Doc, has been elected president in a landslide victory. The charismatic physician-turned-politician swept to power on a wave of populist support, vowing to heal the nation's ills. Duvalier's campaign focused on empowering the black majority and tackling corruption. However, some observers express concern over his unorthodox methods and growing personality cult. For more on this story, we go to our political correspondent Hardiman Pesto.
Martin, I'm here in Port-au-Prince, Haiti, where the mood is jubilant following the election of Dr. François Duvalier as president. The people are calling him Papa Doc, and he's promising a new era of prosperity for this impoverished nation.
Pesto, that election was 67 years ago. Are you telling me you're reporting from 1957?
Well, Martin, time is a flat circle, as they say. But I can assure you the excitement here is palpable. I'm standing next to a gentleman who seems quite knowledgeable about the situation. Sir, your name?
I'm Professor Jean-Claude Baguette, political historian at the University of Haiti.
Professor, can you explain to our correspondent why he shouldn't be so excited about Duvalier's election?
Certainly. While Dr. Duvalier may seem like a populist savior now, his regime will soon become one of the most brutal dictatorships in the Western Hemisphere.
Now, Professor, isn't that a bit pessimistic? Look at all these smiling faces around us.
Pesto, those smiling faces will soon be replaced by the grimaces of terror. Ask the professor about the tonton macoots.
The what now, Martin? Sounds like a delightful local pastry.
I'm afraid not. The tonton macoots will become Duvalier's secret police force, responsible for terrorizing the population and eliminating political opponents.
Oh, come now, surely you're exaggerating. Dr. Duvalier is a man of the people. He's even incorporating voodoo into his political platform. How charming!
Pesto, that charming voodoo will be part of a personality cult that Duvalier uses to present himself as a semi-divine figure. Professor, can you elaborate?
Indeed. Duvalier will manipulate Haitian cultural beliefs to solidify his power, claiming to be a living embodiment of the nation.
Well, that sounds like a novel approach to governance. I'm sure the international community will be fascinated by this unique blend of politics and spirituality.
Fascinated isn't quite the word, Pesto. More like horrified. Professor, what about the long-term consequences of Duvalier's rule?
The repercussions will be severe. Haiti will face diplomatic isolation, economic instability, and the deaths of an estimated 30,000 people under his regime.
30,000? Surely that's a typo. You meant 3,000, right? Or perhaps 300?
No, Pesto. It's not a typo. It's a tragedy. And you're standing at the beginning of it all grinning like an idiot.
Well, Martin, they say hindsight is 20/20. And from where I'm standing, the future looks bright for Haiti.
Pesto, your ability to completely misread a situation never ceases to amaze me. Thank you for that spectacularly misguided report from 1957. We'll be back after this.
1789.
And on this day in 1789, the United States established the office of Postmaster General, a move that would revolutionize communication across the fledgling nation. This pivotal decision laid the groundwork for a postal system that would connect Americans from coast to coast, facilitating the exchange of ideas, goods, and occasionally unsolicited pamphlets about goat farming. The creation of this office marked a significant milestone in American history, second only perhaps to the invention of the deep-fried turkey. One can only imagine the excitement of early Americans as they realized They could now send letters complaining about their neighbors to relatives hundreds of miles away. For more on this story, we cross to our American correspondent, Melody Wintergreen.
1789, a year of revolutions. Not just of the French variety, but right here in America, where the quill is mightier than the sword and the inkwell is overflowing with ambition. Melody Wintergreen, on the scene where the U.S. Postal Service was born and gossip was about to go national. On this very day, the federal government realized it needed a way to connect this sprawling new nation. Enter the Postmaster General, a position so powerful it could make or break a politician faster than a misdirected love letter. No more relying on those haphazard colonial carriers. Uncle Sam was taking charge of the mail, and everyone was about to get a stamp of approval. The first Postmaster General, none other than Benjamin Franklin, the original American Renaissance man. He was a scientist, inventor, diplomat, and now the Postmaster General. Talk about a resume builder. With a stroke of his quill, he launched a network of post offices, mail routes, and enough horse-drawn carriages to make a Kentucky Derby blush. But building a postal empire wasn't easy. Navigating political squabbles and technological upheavals, the Postmaster General had to be more cunning than a fox in a henhouse. From fending off budget cuts to embracing the automobile, it was a constant game of postal chess. But through it all, the Postal Service persevered, connecting families, delivering dreams and bills, and ensuring every American, from Boston Brahmins to Wild West cowboys, got their mail. 235 years later, we salute the Postmaster General, a champion of communication, a slayer of distance, and the reason your Aunt Mildred's fruitcake arrives on time every Christmas. The mail must go through, my friends, and it always will, even if it's just a reminder to renew your goat farming magazine subscription. Melody Wintergreen, Newsbang, at the heart of America's postal past.
In a Newsbang, tearing the silence from between the lines.
And now, for a roundup of today's transport news, here's our roving reporter Polly Beep with her unique perspective on the roads, rails and waterways that keep our world moving. Polly, what have you got for us?
Good evening, transit enthusiasts. It's Sunday, September 22nd, and let's dive into today's transport highlights. The Nordhordland Bridge in Norway, the nation's second longest, is now open. Vestland region folks, brace for traffic as everyone rushes to snap selfies on this engineering marvel. Over in Mobile, Alabama, a tugboat tried to use a rail bridge as a car wash. Expect delays if you're on the Amtrak Sunset Limited. Consider alternate transport options. The M25 seems to be on holiday, causing diversions through tunnels usually reserved for mole people. A herd of escaped circus elephants is creating a spectacle on the A1. Motorists, pack some peanuts for good measure. That's all for now. Whether you're crossing a fjord or dodging elephants, stay safe and keep smiling.
2003.
And now, for a look at the quirky side of British tech history, we turn to our science correspondent, Calamity Prenderville.
Good evening, tech enthusiasts. Today marks the 21st anniversary of a groundbreaking British innovation that changed the face of gaming forever. I'm talking about Dolphin, the miraculous emulator that allowed gamers to play GameCube titles on their home computers.
Developed in a secret underground lab beneath Buckingham Palace, Dolphin was the brainchild of Sir Reginald Flippersworth, a man so devoted to marine mammals he legally changed his middle name to Echolocation. Using a combination of advanced tea-brewing techniques and binary code written entirely in Cockney rhyming slang, Sir Flippersworth created an emulator so powerful it could run commercial GameCube games with ease.
But Dolphin wasn't just about playing games. Oh no, it came equipped with a Royal Seal of Approval button that, when pressed, would have Her Majesty the Queen pop up on screen to critique your gaming skills. One is not amused by your pitiful attempt at Mario Kart, she'd say before challenging you to a virtual race around Buckingham Palace.
The emulator also featured a fish and chips mode where all in-game food items were replaced with battered cod and thick-cut fries. And let's not forget the tea time pause, which automatically stopped your game at 4 p.m. sharp for a mandatory cuppa.
Dolphin's release wasn't without controversy, mind you. Nintendo of Japan was so impressed, they tried to hire Sir Flippersworth to create a Narwhal emulator for the N64. He politely declined, stating, "I'm a Dolphin man, through and through." So there you have it, folks. Dolphin, the emulator that brought GameCube games to PCs and fish and chips to the gaming world. Truly a watershed moment in British technological history.
Newsbang, stripping the bones of falsehoods with a hefty axe. 1869.
In a move that has left the opera world reeling, German composer Richard Wagner unleashed his musical monstrosity Das Rheingold upon unsuspecting audiences in Munich. This so-called total work of art has been described by critics as a cacophonous assault on the senses and 4 hours of my life I'll never get back. Reports suggest that several audience members fled the theatre, citing excessive use of mythological creatures and confusing lack of intermission. For more on this cultural calamity, we go to our arts correspondent, Smithsonian Moss.
Now, at this point of the evening, we welcome listeners on FM who've just joined us.
Whoa, it's your girl Smithsonian Moss, and welcome to another installment of Newsbang, where we dish out the dirt on the most iconic moments in culture. Tonight, we're talking about Richard Wagner's opera, Das Rheingold, which premiered in 1869 and changed the game for opera lovers everywhere. Now, I know what you're thinking. Opera, isn't that just a bunch of fat people singing in Italian? Well, yeah, but Das Rheingold was different, folks. It was like the Hamilton of its time, minus the hip-hop and Lin-Manuel Miranda's ego. Wagner was like the Kanye West of opera, pushing boundaries and making everyone uncomfortable with his radical ideas. The story goes that Wagner was obsessed with creating a total work of art, which is just a fancy way of saying he wanted to control every aspect of the production, from the music to the sets, to the actors' facial expressions. He was like a 19th century Beyoncé, minus the leotards and decent music. Anyway, Das Rheingold premiered in Munich, and it was a total disaster. The sets were too big, the special effects were too complicated, and the singers were too, well, let's just say they were too opera-y. But despite all the chaos, the audience was like, yo, this is some next-level shit. And just like that, Wagner became the coolest cat in town. But here's the thing, folks. Das Rheingold wasn't just about the music or the drama. It was about the drama behind the drama. Wagner was like a real housewife, always causing tension and stirring up controversy. He was obsessed with his patron, King Ludwig II of Bavaria, who was basically the opera equivalent of a sugar daddy. And let's not forget the music itself, which was like a precursor to heavy metal. I mean, Wagner was all about that bass, and his music was like the 19th century equivalent of a Slayer concert. The opera was like a wild ride, with giants and dwarves and magic rings. It was like Lord of the Rings, but with more singing and less hobbits. So there you have it, folks. Das Rheingold, the opera that changed the game and made Richard Wagner a household name. It was like a cultural earthquake, and we're still feeling the aftershocks today. And if you don't believe me, just ask any opera aficionado. They'll tell you that Das Rheingold is still the coolest, most iconic opera out there. That's all for tonight, folks. Tune in next time for more Newsbang, where we'll be dishing out the dirt on another iconic moment in culture. And remember, if you're not living on the edge, you're taking up too much space.
It's Newsbang, spreading the truth like butter on toasted falsehoods.
And finally, a look at tomorrow's papers. The Times. Plot to hand over West Point. Foiled as British officer caught with treasonous plans in socks. The Independent. Miners on strike in Colorado. That's all of them. The Telegraph. Royalists win first round in English Civil War at Powick Bridge. There's a picture there of a dead horse. The Mirror go with vicar found in field with women's clothing and golf clubs. And the Daily Mail? MP loses dentures in freak bagpipe accident. That's it. Newsbang returns tomorrow. Same time, same pants. Don't touch that dial because it's covered in marmalade. Good night.
Tune in next time for more artificially intelligent hilarity. Newsbang is a comedy show, written and recorded by AI. All voices impersonated. Nothing here is real. Good night.